All right, Washington beats Atlanta if. I think the number one key to this game is stopping the run. And they've done a really good job against it in the first three games. They're number 5 in the league per DVOA in rush defense. This was their biggest weakness, team weakness last year, defensive weakness last year. And they've improved. But how much of the improvement is because they faced a giant team that had a banged-up offensive line, was missing their best offensive lineman, Andrew Thomas, and really was an almost impotent offensive football team in the opener. How much of it is because of the Raiders and their bad offensive line? I think a lot of it is due to that in terms of the lofty sort of rankings right now, advanced and traditional in terms of statistics. Now, I thought the run defense was pretty good against Green Bay as well. Their problem against the Packers was coverage and miscommunication in coverage. But they gave up some yards to Josh Jacobs. He got them when he really needed them. Number one key to beating the Falcons Sunday, you've got to stop Bejon Robinson. He is elite level. He is a superstar. He is going to be on Sunday, if Jayden's not on the field, the best football player on the field. Number 7, Atlanta Falcons running back. He is so smooth. Zone runs, screens, no matter, you put the ball in his hands, his vision, his cut ability, his wiggle, his make-miss ability is incredible. Then he's got some power, too. And then he's got speed. I mean, he was a top 10 pick for a reason. He's turned into an absolute stud. The Minnesota defense could not stop him 2 weeks ago. And he was essentially taken out of the game on Sunday by the score as much as anything else. It's not just Bejon, though. He's the superstar. Tyler Algiers is one of the best backs in the league that is a backup. Best backup, but he'd start for a third of the NFL teams, maybe half of them. And he's power, but he can run too. You've got to tackle well in this football game. You've got to shut down the edges. This would have been a Dietrich Wise game. You've got to set the edges against the Falcons. Remember last year, Bejon had in the first half, I think he had close to 100 yards in the first half in the game last year. When they were down 17-7 in the first half, he was averaging, I think, 8 yards a carry in that first half. Atlanta really should have been up by so much more. Robinson had 90 yards for the game on 17 carries, 5.3 yards per carry. Algier averaged 6.3 yards per carry. But 80 of those 90 came in the first half. Washington, remember, dominated time of possession in the second half of that game. Number 1, Washington beats Atlanta if they can stop Bejon Robinson, Tyler Algier, and put the game on Penix Jr. Atlanta runs a ton of pistol. They are not under center with Penix. They weren't under center last year with Kirk. Lots of pistol. You'll see it with 2 tight ends a lot on Sunday. I feel sure of that. They did not do and run a lot of personnel, 12 personnel Sunday, in part because they got behind and they had to throw the football. So they were in 11 personnel more. Charlie Warner, their second tight end to Pitts, was a bit banged up. But you're going to see 2 tight ends, pistol, and an effort by Atlanta to come out and run the football and control the football and take the pressure off their young. And by the way, right now, maybe low in confidence quarterback. Number 1, stop the run. Number 2, you've got to cover on third down. You got to cover, period. There have been too many miscommunications in coverage. Drake London is good. Darnell Mooney is a phenomenal route runner. You've got guys like Kyle Pitts, as I mentioned, who are a little bit better right now than they've been. But you've got to cover better. You've got Trey Amos looks like he's a go. I think he was full yesterday. Sanderstill's got to be better than he's been in the first 3 games of this year. Lattimore should be a go. Jeremy Reeves is replacing Will Harris. I don't mind that substitution. I like Jeremy Reeves. They've got to be better in coverage, though. They got to communicate better. You know who's got to be better in coverage? Bobby Wagner's got to be better in coverage. especially if he's matched up against backs or a tight end like Pitts. So you've got to make sure that you minimize these coverage breakdowns, the eye discipline, the communication. We saw some great communication when Jeremy Reeves came into the game because Penix can stretch the field. He can throw it. Let me just say this. This may seem outlandish. Penix has a top 10 arm in the league. Top 10 arm. Just pure arm talent. He's just not seeing it right now. And he's panicking a little bit. You got to cover well. And you got to stop the run so that you don't have play action and short down and distances. I am so optimistic about what Washington is up front this year versus last year. This is going to be a really good test. I don't care how bad Atlanta was last week. Stop the run and be much better than you've been in coverage. This will be the biggest run test, by the way, by far. Okay, the Giants, the Packers, and the Raiders are not what the Falcons are capability-wise in the run. Let's flip it to offense. They've got to really be in good down and distance against Atlanta. You know, if they can run the football as effectively as they did with some of that heavy personnel, I think they can do that against Atlanta. I think they can run the football a little bit against Atlanta, stay ahead of the chains, because I think third and medium or third and long, I think it's advantage Atlanta this week for two reasons. One, Washington's offense from a wide receiver standpoint could be severely limited. Atlanta loves to come with extra pressure, play a lot of man coverage behind it. That's what they did anyway against Carolina, and they did it a little bit in that opener against Tampa. They like to be aggressive. They like to get Ellis. They like to blitz the safety, Bates. They will get after Marcus Mariota on obvious passing downs, play man coverage behind it, and if you can play man coverage this week, it's not that big of a challenge if you don't have Terry, if you don't have Noah Brown, if Debo's the one guy and he's not a stretch the field guy. So you can play a little bit more aggressively, play a little bit more press coverage. If you're in obvious passing downs in this game with Mariota in particular, I think that could be a problem. I think it could lead to sacks and some bad plays offensively. They've got to stay ahead of the chains. They can't be in second and third and long throughout the day and hope to overcome that against this defense with the receiving core that they'll likely put out onto the field. If they can run the football and stay out of the second and third longs like they did against the Raiders, that's the formula offensively. And I will just say, if they are in second and third and long, you got to protect, because they come with speed and they've got athleticism. They are much better, their pass rush is, than it was last year. Third downs will be huge in this game. Did you know? I didn't know this until I started to really look at Atlanta last night and look at our team in the matchup. Washington's the number one third down defense in the league through 3 weeks. Again, small sample size, and two of the opponents have been pretty bad on offense. 28.6% they're allowing on third down, number one in the league. The way to get off the field on third down this week is to stop the run and put the game on Penix, and you'll see some punts. You know, punts are becoming fewer and further between because of the field goal length now that you have in this league. You know, basically you get to that other team's 40, you're trotting your kicker out for a 57-yard try. You're not punting from the other team's 40. You're either going for it or kicking a field goal. And with all the fourth down, go for it teams. But they can force some punts if they can stop the run. Third down, excellent third down team through 3 weeks. And I think lastly, you got to get some takeaways this week. You know, typically on the road, it's helpful to get a takeaway or two, to be +1, +2 in the turnover margin. Washington is just one of 3 teams right now in the entire league without a takeaway through 3 weeks. Just 3 teams are without a takeaway. Those 3 teams are Washington and then the Jets and the Dolphins. The teams with just one takeaway are Cleveland, Dallas, and the Giants. So, the better teams are getting takeaways. The worst teams aren't. Washington is the aberration in that category right now. 0 takeaways, but a winning record. Everybody else with 0 or 1 has a losing record at this point. Time to start taking the ball away. And Penix Jr. put him up for grabs last week. If you can stop the run, because they are going to try to run the football, and you can put the game on Penix, you can get 1 or 2 this week. And, that would be big. That would be huge. That's the difference, by the way, in, a win of more than 7, if you're +1 or +2, and a game that's coming down to the wire with a chance to win it or lose it. Should be a hell of a football game, actually. Really good football game. With Mariota, it should be a good football game. With Jayden, it would be a good football game. But I would much prefer to have Jayden Daniels on the field Sunday. I'd like to have his arm strength. I'd like to have his ability to see it quickly. I thought Marcus did last week, to avoid some of this pass rush, to be a part of the run game, which Mariota will be as well. This is going to be a tough football game Sunday for Washington. Stop the run. Cover. No miscommunications. Good down and distance on offense. Don't give Atlanta a chance to blitz and play man coverage on a limited core of wide receivers behind it consistently on second and third and passing situations. Get third down stops. You're number 1 in the league through 3 weeks, and a few takeaways this week would go a long way towards a win.